If there is one reel that I sold more of during my time working at Bass Pro Shops than any other reel, it is hands down the Johnny Morris Carbonlite spinning reel. The big question though, is it worth it? Stay tuned, hope you guys enjoy the video. We're gonna cover the specs on this reel. This is the 1500 size. The ball bearings is 7+1. It's coming in at 6.9 ounces for weight. Max drag is 11 pounds. Mono line capacity is gonna be 160 yards of 4-pound test or 80 yards of 8-pound test. The gear ratio is 6:2:1, and it is coming in at around $79.99 MSRP. One thing that I'm gonna point out right off the bat, some of you may have already noticed it, it looks very similar to another reel that I've already done a review on in the past, that being the Daiwa Exceller LT. And it's actually because Daiwa is the Bass Pro Shops manufacturer for their Carbonlite spinning reels. They signed a deal a couple years ago, and they've been making all their previous models of spinning reels as well. But that's what you notice right there. It looks very similar. The handles are the same. The spools are pretty similar. The actual, just the whole body itself is extremely similar. The bails, everything. I mean, these are spitting images of each other. They fish very, very similar as well. So that's kind of something you got to think about in this review here is it worth it to buy this, or should you just buy the model it was based after, the Exceller? We'll start with the versatility here, right? So they don't make a ton of sizes on this. They are marketed specifically towards bass fishing. So, you know, for you bass guys, crappie guys, bluegill, you know, you could get away with trout with this. You know, those smaller species that are not going to run a ton of line out of your spool, you're gonna be fine with those. That being said, would I take this catfishing? No, I would not take this catfishing. That would be horrible. That would be the day I hook a 15-pounder and it strips my whole spool. So do not take this catfishing or any big species that you need that spool length, because these spools are extremely small. These are some of the smallest spools I have ever seen on spinning reels. In terms of durability, I haven't had any problems yet with it. They've worked real great for me. It's one of those things, just treat it well and it'll treat you well back. Even though it feels very, very light, it doesn't feel like it would be a very sturdy reel. You know, I've pushed them through the works a little bit, and they've been working great for me. Just as long as you oil them up after every couple trips, some oil and grease in there, should be okay. Now let's talk about one con, in my opinion, about this reel, and that is the price. Coming in at 80 bucks, that is a very competitive market. Like I said before, we've already got our Daiwa Exceller LT, we've got our Shimano Sedona, Shimano Sahara, Pflueger President. There are a lot of reels in that price range in there, and I feel like if you're gonna enter into that market, you've gotta do something that stands out among the rest. And no, a white paint job is not standing out amongst the rest. Although I love that paint job, don't get me wrong, it looks really freaking cool with the gold accent, the all white with a little bit of gray. I don't know if it's enough to warrant that $80 price range, especially considering you can get the Exceller, which I believe this reel is based off of, for the same price. And I personally like the feel of the Exceller just a little bit better. I believe it has a larger spool size, feels just a little more like I can just handle a little more on this reel. So that's something to think about here. The Daiwa Exceller has been hands down one of the best reels I've used in the last couple of years. Another con that I have about this reel is that the line tends to wrap on the spool a little weird. And I bought my brother one of these back when I had the Bass Pro discount. And what I noticed is the line wrapped on the top part of the spool a little higher than the rest. So it ended up kind of concaved at the bottom. And I don't know if it affected casting, but it did affect how much line you could hold on the spool. And it's already a very small spool. So that was something I was kind of confused about. I did bring it in and get it swapped out. The next one had no problems, but I did have a customer or two come in and return this same reel because of that same exact problem. So it definitely wasn't a fluke. It's something that's happened on a couple of the models before. It's not a huge not a huge deal breaker because Bass Pro has a really good return policy. But either way, it's kind of weird. I think it's kind of odd that I don't really know any other reels that have had that problem for me. Overall, it's still an incredible reel. I've fished the crap out of it and I've caught a lot of fish on it. that's kind of up to you to decide if that white paint job is really worth it to you versus the Daiwa Exceller or the Shimano Sedona or any of those other reels in there. But you know, that's up for you to decide. If you guys want to see the review videos for the Sedona and the Exceller, I will put them up here for you. Hope you guys got something out of today's video. Feel free to request another product to do a review on in the description. If I can find a way to get that product, I will certainly make a review. And we'll see you guys next time on Humbug Videos.